Rainfall warnings are in effect across the south coast, piling moisture on the snowpack and threatening flooding in some areas. The Alex Fraser has reopened after yesterday's winter weather led to it being closed for almost 20 hours. Yesterday's storm system brought more snow to Metro Vancouver before quickly turning into ice pellets and freezing rain. Streets becoming slippery and the snow blanketing Metro Vancouver slushy. The province closed the Alex Fraser and Port Mann bridges just before 10:30 a.m. yesterday due to ice pellets that were sticking to those cables, leading to concerns ice chunks could fall on vehicles. This morning, the Port Mann bridge remains closed until sometime between 11 and 1 this afternoon.
The concerns with that, based on the assessments from the crews we have on site, was to proactively close those bridges because we are also experiencing rising temperatures. And with the combination of our maintenance and rising temperatures, we expect there will be some ice melt off those cable stays, and we want to make sure that the traveling public is as safe as possible.
And crews continue their cleanup of yesterday's storm, which at one point knocked out power to Tofino, Ucluelet, and Ahousaht. Bora Scott speaks for BC Hydro, and she's joining us now. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So what is the current situation like out there? Is power restored to certain areas that lost power, and are more people seeing power outages?
Yeah, so we've restored power to the customers that were out on the island, as you mentioned. Right now, we're seeing the biggest impact in Surrey and Langley. So we currently have about 17,000 customers out across the Lower Mainland. Obviously, we have crews out in full force right now. They're working to repair the damage to get those customers back up as quickly as possible. But like everybody else, we're keeping a very close eye on this weather today, particularly the freezing rain that's hitting the eastern Fraser Valley. And we know that that has potential to cause some additional outages today as well.
Okay, and I was going to ask you, what has been the issue here? Is it the freezing rain, weighted down trees? What's creating the biggest problem?
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination. So it's the snow that was already on the trees, then with the additional moisture that comes from the freezing rain, that tends to weigh down the trees and branches and essentially kind of coat them in ice, which makes the trees and branches more brittle and more likely to fall down onto our electrical equipment. So obviously something that we've been planning for all week, something that we're continuing to keep a very close eye on, but we know that it does have the potential to cause significant outages, and that's something that we continue to pay a close eye on today. Like I said, we do have all of our BC Hydro crews, our contractor crews, as well as our veg management crews and other support staff basically ready to respond today. It's kind of hundreds of people. We're at an all hands on deck situation because we want to do everything we can to make sure that we get customers restored as quickly and safely as possible.
Mm-hmm. So how is this week looking compared to other winters in BC?
Yeah, I mean, obviously what we're seeing here, we have seen record-breaking temperatures, which meant record-breaking electricity demand. So we saw our demand record fall both on Monday evening and on Wednesday evening. When it comes to storms like this, though, the interesting thing when you compare it to a windstorm is typically in a windstorm, we see a bunch of customers come offline very, very quickly. And in a storm like this, it tends to be much slower. So you'll see kind of over a period of days, a number of customers lose power as those trees begin to fall. So it's not really a big impact all at once. It's kind of something that we knew we were going to see over the next couple of days, and we could potentially see obviously today and into tomorrow.
And finally, how concerned are you today with all the rain that is anticipated?
Yeah, obviously it's something we've been planning for. We are in the business of responding to emergency events like this. It's something that we plan for all year. Obviously, we've been very, very carefully planning for this all week. We want to assure our customers that we do have the right number of crews in place. We have all of our equipment ready to go should we see some more significant outages.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for the work that your crews are doing, trying to keep everybody warm and safe in their homes and places of business. Travel in the Fraser Valley is expected to be difficult for the rest of the day. Environment Canada warning travel conditions will be challenging due to snow, ice pellets, and freezing rain. Surfaces may become icy and slippery, and localized flooding is also possible. Up to 60 millimeters of rain is expected throughout the day. Conditions in the valley were treacherous yesterday. Highways covered in snow, and the snowfall quickly turning into slush and freezing rain.
I showed up at around 4. And pretty much as soon as I would clear a section out, like this section here, about 10 minutes later, it's got snow on the ground again.
Brutal, terrible. Never seen it this bad, like snow everywhere, rain, snow, terrible.
There's ice all over the road, there's snow everywhere. The Mother Nature is stronger than us. She win. We lost. We give up.
BC Transit service also suspending in the central Fraser Valley yesterday due to the weather, and it remains suspended today as well. Avalanche Canada is warning those in BC of an increased slide risk. The nonprofit organization says the snow, wind and warmer temperatures are to blame. The elevated avalanche hazard risk is in place for most regions in BC, but particularly the southwest coast of the province. Avalanche Canada is reminding those heading into the backcountry to check the danger rating before heading out.
Before heading outdoors, make sure you get the forecast. And if you notice a high hazard rating in the forecast for the area you're going to be recreating in, we would be recommending people avoid avalanche terrain. So this doesn't mean avoid the backcountry. There's always safe places to recreate in the outdoors in the winter. It just means avoiding avalanche terrain.
Reddy recommends anyone heading into the backcountry in the winter to get avalanche skills training before doing so. Vancouver International Airport is working to resume regular operations after severe winter conditions caused chaos. International flights resumed early Friday morning, while those still stuck at the airport were offered refreshments, restaurant vouchers, and even hotel rooms for up to 4 days. On Friday, WestJet and Air Canada were flying about 50% of their planned schedule. YVR CEO Tamara Vrooman says passengers should plan ahead and anticipate potential flight delays.
When people get stuck on their journey, we do our best to help them. And that's why we've been handing out so many bottles of water, food and supplies. But this is unique in that it's happening right over Christmas and actually Christmas Day. So we really felt that people who have been spending 2 or 3 days in the terminal, that we probably didn't want to see them spending a 3rd, 4th or 5th day in the terminal. And so we reached out to local hotels to see if there was availability. They responded to the call and were able to create those bookings.
For the latest flight information, visit yvr.ca.